Hey guys, this is Sprague with 1080 The Fan, and you're listening to the douchiest guys I've ever met in my life, the Bleach Bros Podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review. Or don't, because they suck.
Welcome into the Bleach Brothers Podcast. This is B-Word, and as usual, I am here with the cocksucker, Jake the hater. Welcome in, cocksucker. How are you tonight,
Dude,
buddy?
you know what I love? Behind the curtain, I acknowledge being a cocksucker just for you, my favorite fatty. I love you, B-Word. We've been friends since second grade.
Long
Grade,
ass time.
which is how long? How long have I had to put up with you?
Shit.
I mean, how old are you?
I don't know. I'm 38.
37? 38?
38.
How old am I? I'm 36, right?
You're something, yeah.
Okay. That's a long fucking time, dude.
It's a long ass
I mean,
time.
and the funny thing is, we're only friends because you could pick me up.
That's
I mean,
it.
that was. You know what's great about being a kid is the like things that you need to happen. Like, okay, like why are you friends? He could pick me up, and like that's a normal conversation for a second grader. But like as an adult, if like that was the conversation, we couldn't be friends. Like they'd be like, well, what else happened? I don't know. He walked up to me in the office and picked me up. We're best friends. Like people would be like, no, there's got to be more to that. But in second grade, that's fine. And I'm happy that our friendship has been based on you being big, and I was small at the time, and then I don't know what happened. I became a giant.
Yeah.
And then you picked me up.
You're like Andre the Giant in The Princess Bride. I feel like you just walk around, you think you're cool, and then every once in a while you see somebody short, you're like, do you want a peanut? And then
Oh my
that's
God.
just it, dude. Like
That is not what I do. Why would you think?
Life
That is the
so
worst
simple
analogy
if
you've
your
ever
name
had
is
for me on the
Jake
show.
The hater. Jake
This
the
is
hater
the worst
thinks that
analogy
his
you've ever
name-
had.
Speaking of, like, let's get off of this because this is just going to end bad. We actually have a
fucked
guest
it up.
tonight that we are fighting in front of. It's amazing.
My friend. Again, another one of my friends.
Right. Who is going to be on the show to shit on you. I am guaranteeing that.
That's fine. That's fine.
So with that, Danny, we welcome in Danny Marang. Danny is on the Jacked Ramsays podcast, and Danny is also one half of a radio show. Danny, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
No, I don't want to say a word about myself. I'm so of course I want to talk about myself. I'm in media. What are you, crazy? Of course I'm a narcissistic
Do you want a peanut?
Do I want to talk about me? Yes! You're damn right I want to talk about me. Everyone's like, oh, no, I get tired of talking about myself. No, we don't. No, not a single one of us. Even like the quietest, like nicest, like we all want to talk about ourselves. Every single one. You put a mic in front of anybody in media and you're like, oh, let me tell you about me. But no, man, listen, it's funny. Jake and I kind of go back, like 2012? It's been like 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
Back in the Bunker and Danforth days at 620.
Early 620 days, yeah.
Yeah, early 620 days. I was doing stuff on the side. I had gotten out of the Air Force a few years before. Ben Gulliver is a friend of mine from high school. Like he's clearly the successful one here. For those that don't know, Ben Gulliver's the lead NBA writer for the Washington Post.
Mm-hmm.
But he started at Blazers Edge and did worked at Yahoo and Sports Illustrated, a couple of spots in between. But you know, he poked me years ago when I first got home out of the Air Force to kind of get into the whole media world. And long story short, he pestered me into doing this, so he's the one who's responsible for me being in media. So blame him. That's ultimately how this ends up working out. Is I blame somebody else for how much I suck at this, and yet somehow I just keep falling face first, but upwards. I don't really know how that works.
It's like a rubber band where you kind of have to go backward before you go forward kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't even know. That's the thing is I'm not really going backwards. I just keep going forward, and I'm like, how do I keep falling face first into something cooler? Like, you know,
See, I think that you and I have something in common where we have gone backward in life, and it both stems from when we met Jake.
Oh, fuck. I knew that was happening. See, I was going to say he poked the right person because I've been poking for the media. This is how me and Danny met, and I can never get it right. There's just something that I do that people are like, nope, not giving this guy a chance. We love him. Everybody knows me. Everybody talks to me. I'm invited.
Didn't you do the the like on-set cooking thing for a couple times.
Oh, I
them.
still do. Yeah.
Well, no, like,
yeah.
with
No, I
them,
had
like,
I had Rip City Recipes. Yeah, I had a segment. You heard how that started, right?
No, wasn't it something random as hell?
Yeah, Dan Sheldon would call, like I would, tweet in and everybody knew me from that. And he called me out saying nobody can make catfish taste good. And then they found out I was a chef and then they had me come in the studio and then I made it taste good and they were like, oh, fuck.
Because Dan's a Florida boy, so he
and
he
so
likes his catfish.
they were like, holy crap, you actually know what you're doing. And then it just stemmed from there. And then the TV one stemmed from when me, Nigel, and Dan were getting drunk off of Douglas Fir brandy at 6 a.m. in the studio, and Trey Renee walked by and took a shot with us. Because drinking that stuff's like opening your mouth in a Macy's perfume aisle, walking through it, and just hoping that it tastes good. And oh my god, but we got so hammered. And yeah, no, it's like you. I fall on my face and somebody gives me a shot. I just haven't had as good a shot as you, but you're doing a good job.
That's the thing that's the problem is when I went in there, we got hammered at 6 o'clock in the morning. It was the Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey Whiskey.
Yeah.
That was the problem is you just had the wrong booze.
Yeah, I did have the wrong booze.
We did it with what was Nigel's buddies? Oh god,
the barbershop.
Barbershop. Yeah. And we got pretty lit, and it was a banner show, man.
Yeah.
But what's funny is that's not true. I've had setbacks along the way. I've had a lot of things not go my way over the years. I'll be fully honest. I've got the gig at 1080 now, and it's a dream come true. I've been chasing a radio job literally for 10 years, and obviously we did Outsiders for 4+ years. Me, Joe Simons, and Shane Brennan for the first couple of years, and then Shane dipped out, and it was just Joe and I. And those two guys are like my brothers to me. For those that don't know, like we were not friends before that show, and now like Joe and I literally just had lunch the other day. It was first time in a long time, but I mean that like brought us together. But that like navigating that whole situation with NBC, talking ball going away, us stepping into that like that, people were pissed off. So that was something like weird to navigate. I had been up for other radio gigs over the years, and it just kind of not come through. It was, always a bridesmaid kind of a deal. And then this last one came up with 1080, and I knew a couple months in advance, and they kind of talked to me because AJ McCord said she was going to head out, and so they were kind of looking around, and I was honest. I was like, listen, guys, if you're not like genuinely interested in me, like I'm your top option, let's just move on because I'm too old for this shit. And if I get knocked down one more time, I'm like, nah, I don't want any more of this. But we came together and made it happen, man. And now, I'm stuck here being a Mick asshole from noon to 3 with my boy Dusty. And I was talking to my wife about this. This is kind of wild. This is the bragging part of this. I have my dreams. Like I've done the stuff that I want to do. Like now it's like, how do I refine this, or how do I give myself another challenge? And it's such a weird place to be to go, I got it. Mm-hmm. But now you ever hear those guys that do the lectures? They do the motivational speeches. When you get that thing, you're never really happy. They're right. Like I'm still as full of shit as I was yesterday. I'm still like, I want more. But at the same time, it's been so dope to be like, yes, this is what I got. This is what I want.
No, that's a funny point because I remember like when I made like $60,000 a year, I was like, oh, if I just made 30 more thousand, I'd be happy. And the minute I made 90, I was like, why am I not making 180? And the minute I made, you know what I mean? And
it's always something else.
There's always that factor of what else can I do? Like, I mean, me and B-Word started this podcast because honestly, we were just talking on the phone. My wife felt like I had a second wife and said, hey, why don't you guys record it because you guys are sort of interesting and release it. And then we had fans and then it blew up from there. And it's been a fun ride. And it's not that it's indie, but it is funny, one of those things like every time we find we hit a peak with listeners, it's like, well, we want more, or we want this, or you want that, or what else can we do, or the Patreon or that stuff. I mean, I don't know. It's fun to see friends in the industry. Like you said, me and you go back 10 years. It's like I've talked about Shane on here a lot. Assville podcast, fucking love it. Joe Simons, I've always give Schmedium Joe shit. Great golfer. I mean, and that was my thing though. I always would support your guys' Facebook lives and be the hater on there. I mean,
exactly, and we loved it.
Yeah, and that, but I've kept in contact with everybody through it, and it's just fun to see people in the industry how we all still connect and everybody grows in a different way, and it has been fun to see your rise, Danny. I mean, just from when you were just at Blazers Edge, and I remember when I would work at 620 and you'd come on. To me, you were just the analytical guy, and now hearing you just
that was my thing. Was like that was Danalytics. Sheldon and I kind of like fought over who had that name kind of first, and that's kind of, everybody kind of thought, oh, that's just kind of his corner. Like that's what he does. It's like, yeah, but that's because that's what I did in the military. Like, as I worked on the analysis side. Like, for those that don't know, like I worked in intelligence. I was an interrogator in the Air Force. And so like I did some pretty dope shit there. But I basically took what I knew there and applied it to basketball.
And now you're with Dusty talking about candy bars and nonsense in the afternoon, and it's fucking great. But, like, I still disagree with you about all your candy bar theories from Halloween, but we're past that now. So I'll say this. You're in the media with sports.
Yeah.
And you started, I think, like me, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we can all say we started as a fan, but there are people that started in the media and rise through the media, and there's people that get into the media being a fan, and vice versa. What do you think the media is missing in sports? Like,
giving a shit.
Okay.
That's a big thing of this, is that so many want to be a personality now. The context and the content is waning. So I give feedback to a very large sports organization in this town. Let's say it that way. And one of the things that I have told them is, I want to see you and other teams and markets and brands make fans smarter. Because we have gotten away from that. We have gotten away from talking about, enjoying, and like bonding over the game. It's about the shit that's around it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I joked that ESPN should have changed their logo years ago and made it like that, E channel with an exclamation point at it, because it became about Tom Brady's divorce rather than Tom playing the game.
Yeah, and listen, there's a space for the other shit, but it shouldn't be it shouldn't be what drives everything, and that's the biggest thing for me. And so I have made this commitment to myself, because I only have my own little corner that I can control this. When I am in a press scrum, if I am there pregame, I am there postgame, I am at practice, whatever the situation is with the Trailblazers, because I'm essentially a radio beat reporter at this point. I'm going to ask basketball questions. I am not going to ask about what other weird shit, like we've got plenty of narrative storytellers and all kinds of stuff like that on the beat. I'm going to ask the analytics nerdy shit, and I'm going to ask, hey, why did you switch from a 3-2 to a 2-3 to a 2-1-2? I want to talk about what's happening there, and use that to drive my own conversation, because for the longest time, I didn't get the chance to control that. I can control that in my medium. I have my own radio show. I have my own podcast. So when people say, well, why don't you do it? That's what I'm trying to do.
Right.
And that's, for me, that's the thing that's missing from sports, is that sitting down and talking about not just the minutia of the game, but this is going to sound corny as hell, because radio is different than it was when we were younger. No, fathers and sons aren't sitting around the radios anymore. Like, we were the last generation where that was kind of a thing. But if there's one kid out there who listens to me, who's 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, and they're driving with their dad or their mom, whoever, and they're listening to us on the radio, and they have a bonding experience because of some stupid shit that we're talking about on the radio, that is the coolest damn thing on the face of the planet to me. I have had the craziest thing I've ever had happen to me in the media industry happen to me doing Outsiders right before the pandemic or right after. God, I can't even remember. It was the game where they played at Memorial Coliseum. So I think it was right before the pandemic. And I'm sitting there with a couple other media members, and probably a 9-year-old kid comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" And I thought he was talking, because I was next to the players, or a couple players and former players and stuff like that. And he's like, "No, you, Danny." And I was like, He's like, I love watching you guys. And I was like, that means your parents let you stay up late enough to watch a post-game show. And I didn't care what he thought of us. I didn't care what he learned from us. But the fact that some kid is spending some time with his parents, bonding over a basketball game, and he goes, I can't wait for the game to get over so I can watch you guys with my dad. And listen, the tier works, man, the waterworks, they were coming. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll sign that for you, man. I'm trying to fight it back. Like, it was the coolest shit ever. It was the coolest shit ever. Hyken was standing right there. He saw it happen. I'm like, you saw that shit, right? Like, if I tell somebody else that this happened, you saw this. And it was the dopest shit ever. And so I've always had this thing in the back of my head, if I could do that for one kid, if I could do that for one, because that's what got me into this. And so for all the dumb shit that I say on Twitter and the back and forth and pissing off broadcasters, it still comes back to that for me. And that I feel like there's not enough of that anymore.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with you. I think that sports media, and specifically, there's a lot of people that want themselves, the media, that want themselves to be the headline, that they asked that question, or that they made this person say whatever, or that they uncovered whatever story. And I think that your perspective, that you want to ask about the details, you want to ask about the X's and O's of it, you want to make sure that you're talking about the relevance of the decision making, or why specific plays happened. That lets the fans know what happened. That lets the fans know why X play didn't work or why Y play did. And I think for me as a fan, one of the things that I want to know, regardless of the team or whatever, is I want to know the facts. I just want to know what specifically happened, what resulted, how that could have been avoided, how that plays into the overall aspect. I can care less who's getting divorced. I can care less who's dating who. I can care less all of that sort of stuff, right? So I do think that there is that integrity in sports media, that you have a really good population of sports beat writers, sports radio people, sports journalists that do their best to ask that. But there's that handful of them that like to be the center of attention. And that, I think it's pretty evident on who those people are. And it's not just with one organization. You'll find it in every single organization. But that's probably something that, really does take away from the game. Keeping with this topic, though, what sort of shows would you like to see when it comes into sports? So whether it be something a specific team does, maybe a team's own podcast if they don't have one already, what sort of media do you think that teams can take advantage of here going forward?
I think we need more shows like Outsiders. I do. I think that's you have to have people who give a shit. And it was always funny to me doing Outsiders, was that in market, and Jake knows this, people would say that I hate this team. Like, you're always so negative about this team. Anytime we were do a cross promotion with the Warriors, or with the Bulls, or any of the other NBC, the Celtics, any of the other NBC affiliates, we did a lot of cross promotion out of network. So you guys wouldn't have seen the shows, but they were on in their locations. And every one of those guys these guys are such homers. Good Lord, no. And it always reinforced to me that we were doing it right. Everybody here locally thought we hated the team. Everybody nationally, or in other markets, thought we loved this team more than anybody. And if you watch it, if you just put somebody on who knew nothing about basketball and asked them to watch the show, each version, they couldn't tell the difference. It was just what your mind was telling you, kind of a situation. But the one thing that everybody always knew is we gave a shit. That was the thing. They always knew that we cared. I don't want to make this about me or us in that instance, but the one that's going to come to mind was doing the show after Nurk broke his leg that way. So I've talked about this publicly. I've had basically the same thing happen in my leg. It was a devastating leg injury that basically changed my life. Doing that on air, being the first people to talk about it, was difficult as hell. I was crying, and I was like, can I get through this without being unprofessional? Is this going to look bad? But it ended up being I had so many people text me, call me, DM me, dude, that was really good. That was super cool to see that happen because they knew where I was coming from. They knew that I gave a shit. And no matter what I said about basketball, they cared. And what I think we're missing so much across sports right now, besides caring about the product, is the empathy.
I agree with that because I think one thing, you bring a good point in giving a shit. But I think a lot of people, they just want to be a color analyst, and that's their whole personality, and they just want that to be the whole show. The second problem is that they're afraid of being a homer. And what I mean by that, there are honks out there, as we know, where it's like, oh my God, you're going to talk this way. But there's another fact, like you guys did it in a way where it was like, I can make fun of my own mom, but you can't make fun of my mom.
Yep.
I'm going to go on the other show and defend her all day, but when it comes to it, I can say my mom's meatloaf sucked tonight. And that's what I enjoyed watching you guys. I mean, it was 3 different personalities, and for people that didn't know, Blazers Outsiders was a great show. It was post and pregame, and it was just about the Blazers, but it was 3 fans essentially having fun that knew enough in the media and were also involved in the media that could get a show done right. And I think that was something that was missing for a while. I mean, because we've seen it time and time again, where the person that gets the job, you're like, oh, of course they got it. They're a guy that's been writing it forever, and he's boring, and he's in there. And it's nice to see lately, at least in Portland, and I know it's happening in other places in the country, but this is where I'm at, to see that they're putting people in sports that give a shit or have a personality, but they also can balance it. It's not just, oh my God, he's crazy and he's going to talk about this one thing and he's going to be on the air. It's like, okay, he cares about the team and he's going to say it and he's going to hate on it. He's going to love it. He's going to give us all the facts. I'm going to learn something, but also there's a whole like atmosphere about it. You know what I mean? There's a lot that goes into it, not just, oh, he's funny. Make him talk about the Blazers. Push button, go. I think the media is finally getting over those senses. And this comes from podcasts coming out and YouTube and the other side of media rising. Mm-hmm. And I think they're starting to take advantage of it, which is nice to see.
Yeah, we need more Jay Billis's, guys that can give you like 2-minute bites of just pure gold. We need more JJ Redick's. We need more Richard Jeffersons. Like guys that are entertaining, and not just former players. But if you're at the very top, you want the best of both. I think you want a former player, and I think like the knowledge that comes with that. But I also think you want more personality. You want people who care. Like on the female side, you want more Candace Parkers. You want more Shanae Ogumokes. Like you want people who give a shit, and that's just in the basketball sphere. Listen, ESPN, most of their shows, I'm not in on. Like that's not for me. But the NFL shows. Laura Rutledge, Mina Kimes, Dan Orlovsky, Spears, like they hit a home run every day. Every day that show comes on at noon and they just step up to the plate and Babe Ruth that shit. Because they've got all the personality in the world. They've got people who give a shit. They have smart, intelligent, just fantastic discussions about shit that matters. And it's evident. It's like they step up and they're like, oh, here's more Emmy bait. Here's another home run. Here's another home run. And they get the right people together. And when they get a show like that, it's a lot like Pardon the Interruption was when it first came out. Like that, I mean, Wilbon and Kornheiser, when that show, for the first like 5 years of that show, TV gold. Around the Horn, TV gold. Like, but it became more and more and more because they were on the outside looking in. We need less of those shows. We need more of the NFL shows. We need more of the NBA shows. We need more, in this world of globalization, we need more local. And you've got guys like, again, not to keep throwing ESPN on the bus, they're just the most readily available. You've got these national reporters who, I know a lot of them, and they know their shit, but you can't expect them to cover the Nets day in, day out for 3 years and then up and move to Cleveland, up and move to Golden State, up and move to LA. And then, boom, to give a shit. Because you know what they're going to give a shit about? Whatever the story is that day.
Yep.
Not what is important to people there.
Yeah, they're going to care about their ratings and what's going to get them the listens or the views or whatever they need at that moment.
Yeah.
Not, oh, here's what's mattering with the team. It's like, oh, how can I make my show better tomorrow? Not, how can the team help make my show better tomorrow? Not that they have to win. You can make gold out of a losing team.
We did with the Blazers.
Right. Exactly. That's my point. Exactly.
But that's the thing is like, and again, I'm not criticizing them. I just think we need more of that. We need to be smarter about, we need shows that that teach us more. We need shows that educate us more. We need shows that bring us in more. We need shows that care more. We need people who care more. The problem is there is a lot of talent out there that meets all those boxes. What we don't have are the people at the top or the money that to make it happen. That's ultimately what it comes down to. But like if I were in charge or if I could wave a magic wand, that's the kind of content I would lean on.
I dig it. So to make this not entirely about sports, let's give you a random topic here. So
hit me.
Burgers.
I mean,
talk to me about the best burger you've ever had. Where has this burger been?
So the thing is about this is I'm a burger connoisseur. I've done the Japanese like A5 top end Wagyu, not the knockoff American Wagyu. Don't get it twisted. There is a difference.
You mean Kobe because Wagyu is American and Kobe is Japanese.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
but everybody calls it Wagyu. It's real Japanese A5, like $300 burger, like the good stuff. I've done the bison. I've done the elk. I've had it all. If you can turn it into a ground beef and grill it, I've had it. So it depends on how I'm ranking this. Like I had the one in Japan, and it was an experience. You know, they came over. I can't even. He dusted it with something before he finished it off. I can never remember what it was. But my commander at the time, who took us out, treated us to this monster dinner after an exercise, and it's one of the 5 best meals I've ever had in my entire life. Finished with actual wasabi root, very, very, very fine amount because that stuff will go a long way. What was it? It was pickled onions. I can't remember what the sauce was. It was some sort of cream butter, but it was like everything about this burger was just top class. And not fake like gold flake top class, but
right.
Just every single ingredient was farm fresh, hand picked, sourced from the best place they could up in the mountains of Tokyo kind of deal. Like it was everything about this thing was incredible. If I remember right, it was like a $300-something burger.
Yeah, what grows together goes together.
Mm-hmm.
That is a great rule of thumb. It wasn't the avant-garde Vegas burger that's $10,000 for no reason, right?
No,
exactly.
Wrapped in gold flake just for the shits and giggles of it. But if I'm doing here locally, I'm a big there's a meat processing place in Dayton. You can get fresh bison burgers. I'll go down there and grab those. That's my go-to if I'm grilling at home though. Like that's. But it all depends, man. Like we ranking burgers we've had all time. We ranking fast food burgers. We ranking restaurant burgers.
Oh, rank your top 5 burgers of all time.
Of like that I've ever had.
Yeah.
Okay. The one in Japan, number 1. I'm gonna put my own probably like 3 or 4. I did a elk burger. My buddy bagged an elk. Oh God. Like 2010, people still talk about it to this day. It was the best burger they'd ever had. For my dad's birthday, we had some elk burgers, literally fresh kill. That's the only time I've ever done burgers of a fresh kill. So that was incredible. Was the elk. There's a restaurant in Vegas. We mentioned it already. It wasn't like an avant-garde, like ridiculous burger, but God dang it. I can't remember the name, but it's right off the strip, and it's not the Gordon Ramsay spot. There's another spot there, but there's a burger there that I had back in 2006. We had an exercise out there for the Air Force with Nellis Air Force Base is right there. And then I'm gonna go, and this is gonna piss everybody off, but this is my traditional. This is my go-to. This is my standby. I'm gonna go with a double from In-N-Out.
Okay, we're speaking language. Yeah, I got you.
Listen, man, I grew up in Southern California. That is my jam. That will be always be my go-to. I don't give a shit what any of you Oregonians say about Burgerville. I don't care what you say about Five Guys. I don't care what you say about any other burger. That is my home. That is my heritage. Leave it alone.
Yep.
Are you an In-N-Out over Whataburger?
I think they are 2 different burgers in the sense that they are like a different class because what makes In-N-Out great is it's a good burger that's cheaper than literally everybody else's. But if we're talking just pure burgers, Whataburger is a better burger. It's okay to admit that.
That's a fair
That's
discussion.
a good assessment.
Yeah, that's fair. So before we get into any more burger talk, we actually posed a question to our social media followers. And a few people here actually talked about some, and I just kind of want to give them a shout out. We got King LaBar, talked about Twisted Sisters Bar in Rushville, Indiana. He said that was the best place that he's had a burger. Bob says that Bill's Place on Clement Street in San Francisco, it may or may not be closed, was the best place that he had a burger. We've got Ben says that Killer Burgers Fun Guy. Is that in PDX?
That's up here, yeah.
Okay, so that's his favorite. We've also got Crime Diner podcast. They've got Tony Beef in New Jersey, is a local spot there. Doom Generation. It says Unami Burger and In-N-Out Burger are stellar choices, but that Firehouse Grill has a blue cheese and bacon burger. And then the Porn Stash podcast says that there's a Mediterranean restaurant called Giorgio's, and the Giorgio Burger was the best one there. And unfortunately, they closed about 5 years ago. That sucks. But Jake, what do you got for your favorite burgers?
So I'm gonna piss people off with this, but I'll go with bottom to top. So number 5 is a burger that my company and me make, and it's called the Beast Burger, and it's 25% elk, 25% wild boar, 25% wagyu, and 25% buffalo. We mix all 4. We make a half-pound patty. I cook it for friends when they come over because, B-word, you've been to my house. There's always a lot of free extra meat going around and not in the way that you're saying. But that's number 5. Number 4 is a double-double. I have to agree with Marang on this. Yeah. I grew up outside of Las Vegas. That is my jam. I'll always go there. But I'm going to say one that's probably going to be the most controversial pick, and it is the quarter pounder with cheese from McDonald's. And the reason is, here's the thing, I'm a chef, but I'm going to say this. Every time you go, it is consistent.
Yeah,
it is salty.
Bad.
It's the same fucking burger whenever you go. So you know what? Fuck you guys. It tastes good every time. And if I want one, I know I will get it. And I know it'll be the same at every place. Whether I crap my pants 5 seconds later, whether I feel like crap 5 seconds later, whether I feel delicious afterwards, whether I need to cure a hangover, the quarter pounder with cheese has never let me fucking down. So it's
It'll
number
always
3.
be there for you.
Number 2 is a burger, and I can't even remember the place, but I was down in Florida, and I shit on this burger before I had it, like in the sense of, I was like, I'm never going to eat that.
Like you ate your own shit?
It was a glazed, yeah, I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast, bro. It was a glazed donut burger, in the sense of they use glazed donuts as the bun, and I was like, that sounds disgusting. But it was the morning, I was a little, had a little fun the night before. They put 2 patties, extra cheese, grilled. They grilled the donuts with the burger. I had it, changed my fucking life. I'll tell you that right now. And I'm not all about that, but it was one of those things. It was a memorable moment, because I agree with Danny that a burger can be high end, and there are moments of it. But coming from a chef that has worked in plenty of white tablecloth locations, there is something to be said about going to a greasy spoon and just getting something that's going to cure your taste buds, cure your tummy, and make you sit down somewhere in about 5 seconds. I just like that aspect. Number 1 of all time, though, Portland has the Burger Week.
Yes, they do.
Which is one of my favorite fucking weeks of the year, where all these bars and locations give you a taste of their burger for $5 all over the place for a whole week. And there's a bar called Church. And a couple years ago, they had one called the Dirty Bangkok. And I'll tell you right now, that burger was probably one of the best burgers I've ever had. It had a Thai chili coleslaw with kimchi peanut sauce burger. And it was fucking unbelievable. And I went back 3 times during that week to get that, because that was the best damn burger I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
Burger Week has got a banger every single year.
Yeah.
Absolute banger every year.
So as a kid, I lived in Beatty, Nevada. and there was a diner there. Now, I don't remember what the diner's name was when I was there.
The Beatty Diner, probably.
It was probably called the
probably
Roach
just
Coach or something.
The diner.
Yeah, the diner. Today it's called Mel's Diner, and it's in Beatty, Nevada. But as a kid, that had the best burger that I think I had ever had. As an adult, I wouldn't eat there. So let's go that way. However, so I don't have these in order as normal. But for restaurants in Reno, Nevada, which is near me, there's Brew Brothers. Jake, you've been to Brew Brothers.
I have. You told me to go there. It was good.
They have a phenomenal burger. Really, really good. In Auburn, California, which is just on the other side of the Sahara, right outside of Sacramento, they have a place called Burger and Cream. So the seating is outside. It's all pretty much outdoor. It's just a little diner. Phenomenal burgers, phenomenal shakes. If we're going to talk about fast food, Carl's Jr. has got to be number one. I don't even give three shits about what you guys have to say about that. In-N-Out doesn't even make the list. We're going to go with Whataburger, and then we're also going to go with Jack in the Box. So you two can just suck my ass.
Just happened.
Wow.
What just happened?
Call it that way. And
Jack in the Box has better tacos than they have burgers. How dare you?
Dude, you went full gusto over the fence. Like, here, I'm going to name a burger at a diner that I've had before. I'm going to name this place that nobody's heard of, and then fuck you. Jack in the Box, Whataburger. Fucking I sit in the drive-through line, and you're giving me shit for a quarter pounder cheese. I love you, but hate you at the same time, B-word. What the fuck?
Right? Well, as the resident fat guy on this podcast, I feel like I have experience enough with food to be able to tell that. And with that, we'll be right back after this short break.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Josh with the Appleboys Podcast. My friends Corey, Rob, and Jimmy used to meet up with me after we all got off work on Saturday nights at our local Applebee's to hang out, drink Miller Lite pitchers, and swap stories. We talk about our days at work, stories about our families or our childhoods, funny things we saw on the internet, sports, current events, and whatever else came up. Sometimes serious, often irreverent, definitely not safe for work, and almost always hilarious. We decided to start recording our conversations and sharing them with the world. Since Saturdays are for the boys, and we hung out at Applebee's, the name Appleboys Podcast made a lot of sense. Come hang out with us at the virtual bar and join our community. Visit us at www.appleboys.us or search for the Appleboys Podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Happy tonight!
Welcome back to the Bleach Brothers Podcast, where B-word is always right and Jake is always wrong. With that, Jake, we were just talking about hamburgers, and we're going to change the subject again, but you seem like you had something to talk about.
I was happy you didn't say awful, because we both, I was in Reno. I went to college there, and, you live there now, in the sense that was the place that everybody went.
Yep.
The diner. And the funny thing is, Marang, I don't know if you know this, there's a place in Reno called The Diner, and they serve the awful burger, and that was the famous place to go when you went to college. Everybody talked to you. It was like an initiation thing. And then they closed down, and then the Wall bought it, and it's never been the same. But that was it was a crappy burger. I mean, you just got a pound of garlic fries with it. I think that was the namesake. But yeah, I'm glad you didn't say that B word.
Yeah,
if you did, I was going to kick you.
Yeah, no, I'm all about that because I mean, everybody likes pancakes, but nobody likes Denny's, right? So, yeah, I agree.
Pancakes
well, with that,
both very overrated. But for another discussion, though.
Well, yeah, there we go. So keeping this kind of sports centric, Danny, the NBA City Edition jerseys, which one's your favorite?
This year, I had to go back and double check them. I like the colorway that Toronto brings out with their black and gold. It just seems they just hit right. I really like the Spurs. They kind of went back to their throwback. I think it's like the 96 or 97 All-Star jerseys. They're like a mint green with a yellow and a pink. It's like it's very pinata-esque. I like the stuff that kind of stands out. And then Portland's. I saw Portland's was last night. I got a preview of kind of what's coming up for Portland over the summer. I got a buddy at Nike who just kind of leaked a bunch of the designs to me, and I was like, all right, they leaned into it finally, because when they first started doing the city jerseys, Miami came out with the Miami Vice jersey.
Those were sick.
It's the best alternate jersey that anybody's ever done in the NBA. It's not close. They stepped up to the place and just crushed that shit. And I was like, well, everybody else can go home now because you're not beating this. And then they had like the hostage jersey where they looked like they cut the letters out of the magazines. I was like, they kind of got a little sideways with them. But the Suns and Warriors played the night. And the Suns wore what looked like the OKC Thunder jersey. It was like that color blue. It looked putrid. There's another one this season that was really, really bad. The Thunder is just pretty bad. The Knicks is lame. Minnesota, that's what it was. It's like
Minnesota's looks like a Polaroid, like
yes, an ad from the like 1984, and they what they explained it is those like 5 different colors. Mm-hmm. Those are like colors from the Minnesota Timberwolves past jerseys. Like the green is from the Timberwolves eye from like 1994. I'm like, what the? Who gives a shit?
Nobody cares.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like you're taking things from a history that sucks. Mm-hmm. Like. Quit celebrating your history. It blows. What are we doing here? So, it's just like you don't want to relive that. You don't want to celebrate that. It's just super, super weird. But I think those 3, the Toronto, the Portland, and the San Antonio, those are probably my 3 favorites this year. The Columbus ones that have the Columbus Airport CLT on there.
The Clit Commanders? The Clit Commanders.
Jerseys.
You don't mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's like maybe better marketing, guys. Like who greenlit this? It's like, come on. What? I mean, if that's your thing, fine, whatever.
Who
but
put the clit on the jersey?
Yeah,
They found it.
They found it,
fucking
exactly.
found it.
But no, Portland leaned into the carpet.
Yeah.
They went full. Listen, we're transferring from the clit to the carpet now, and they went they full committed. They didn't do that when they released the plaids the first time. And I've seen some other ones that they're going to release over the next couple of years. They've got a plaid that's coming out, and they leaned way further into it. And it's like, that's it. There you go. That's better. But yeah, those are the 3 I'm going with. Which one did you guys end up liking?
So I always have an order, but I'll say this. Number 5 was Phoenix. And the reason is I actually like the color because they went for the tribal, like it's for Indian heritage.
The
so
story
it's that
behind it
turquoise.
is cool. It's the same, literally the same colorways as the Thunder, and it just like threw me off.
But fuck the Thunder. That's one thing. I was born in Phoenix, so I see it. Originally I probably should have been a Suns fan, but I live here, so I'm leaning in to the Blazers hard. But no, I like the Phoenix Suns jersey. I like the message behind it. I actually like the colorway. I think it's I loved that mid '90s turquoise wave that everything was happening. I remember when the Toronto Raptors came out, they originally were turquoise and purple, just like the Arizona Diamondbacks, and it was fun. Memphis Grizzlies as well, but
it was on every Chevy Silverado had that turquoise paint job.
Exactly,
from like 92 to 97.
Yeah.
Number 4 would be Detroit Pistons, and that's because they're shouting out to St. Cecilia's. The number 1 high school. I like the 3 stars over it. I think it's almost that hip hop-esque as well. I loved the one thing I love about the NBA when they lean into something is they lean into the culture of the game and not just the culture of the city, but the culture of everything around it. And I thought that was a very good example. Portland's is number 3. I think the carpet's iconic. I actually think the colorway is great. I think the way they designed it, it wasn't just a full carpet jersey. It has the stripe. It wasn't as lame as the Rip City one. Not that I had a problem with that, but it felt like, oh, you didn't really do anything. Like it's sort of like the Commander's new name. They're just like, there's a name. Let's put it on there. We're done. It wasn't a try hard. Yeah. Number 2 would be Memphis's. That I think was the most full lean into the hip hop culture with the diamonds on it, really referencing the city itself. It didn't make number 1 for me because actually number 1 is a team I hate, but it is Golden State's. I loved that fadeaway. I love the fadeaway gold rose on it. I just think it was perfect. It's a full portrait on a jersey, which I think is sometimes missing. It's not just a blank canvas where you put a stripe or a one star or a color here and there. I think they did a full blank canvas, but they made it look well. I don't like things that are going on too busy on a shirt. I like it to be simplistic and just say it, but I thought they did a killer job with that. The colorway is great. And just how the colors fade in and out make it look really good. So those would be the ones I would say.
Well, for me, I definitely like the Golden State jersey as well. I thought I love the way that it looks. I just like the colors of it. Same thing with the Suns. Phoenix for the longest time has had that that ugly purple You know what I mean? Back when we were growing up, they were just nasty. And the way that their jerseys are today, I actually just really like those. And then the other ones that I really like is Utah's. I think Utah has a actually really good jersey. Utah and Phoenix actually have a very similar design, color scheme, but those would be the three that I really liked. The Brooklyn Nets kind of remind me of your handwriting, Jake. I just, it looks like a child drew it, and so for that reason, so for that reason, like I'm all about that. But I love the simplicity of New York Knicks. I just thought it was simple. It's good looking. It's the color scheme is not bright. It's not way out of there. It's not my favorite of the bunch, but I appreciate the simplicity. So that would be the one that I would go with too.
Okay. Well, B-Word, let me ask you this: if you could. And you could pick any team. If you could design a city jersey, which city are you designing a jersey for, and how's it going to look?
Man, I don't fucking know. We talked about this before, and I was really thinking, okay, like, am I doing an NBA team? Would I do this with an NFL team? Would I do this with an MLB team? Just something like a jersey, right? Mm-hmm. I would really like to see Vegas get a team at some point. And instead of it saying Las Vegas or Vegas on it, or LV or whatever else, I would really like to see them embrace Sin City, which I don't know if the NBA will do. And I would like to see them have Sin City on the front, with maybe like an ace of spades and a queen of hearts. I just think that it would be very simple like that. It would embrace the city. It would embrace the folklore of it all. So for me, I would like to see that would be that. If it's an existing team, you got to do something different with the Mavs jersey, dude. Like, there's just nothing to it. I don't like it. I've never been a fan of the Mavs City jersey. Do something with it. Change the color scheme. Put something in the background. I would probably do something a little different that way too.
So he answered it two ways, Danny.
But I got to give him something real quick, though.
Okay.
Don't worry, you're getting a team in Las Vegas very soon.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But we know that's happening. But let me ask you this, since he answered it two ways, Danny. One, what city are you designing a jersey for? Two, if you could put any type of professional team in a city, who should get it, and what type of team is it, and what do they call them?
One, I'm going to completely derail everything here because I'm selfish and I'm greedy and I'm sick and tired of waiting for it. I'm a USC Trojan through and through. And they will not, and they have not, gone one goddamn way away from two jerseys. I'm so sick and tired of it. So I'm going to make them break out of their cycle, and I'm going to design a jersey for USC that embraces the Olympic heritage of Memorial Coliseum, runs away from the history of O.J. Simpson.
Do they have gloves?
And highlight the greatness of Marcus Allen and Reggie Bush. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. So it's going to be, and this is going to sound kind of messed up, but it's going to honor them. It's going to be a black jersey. Why? Because you're going to honor the black players that came and the black athletes that came through in the early Olympics in the 1920s.
Okay.
What the arena was built for and the legacy of black players that has come through USC. It's not a black pride. It is a recognition of the contributions of the black athletes that have come through USC as one of the richest and most proud private universities in the country. It's not Ivy League. You think of a certain, like when you picture USC, what do you picture? You picture the blonde-haired white girl from Southern California. You don't picture what everybody knows that university for, which is the historically great black players, and you're going to throw them out there in a black jersey.
Well, I was going to say I know them for two shitty jerseys, but you
exactly. You're going to put them in a black jersey with those red pants, and you're going to throw a nice little rose on there for all of the Rose Bowls those guys got you through. Clean, pristine, but you're going to get you out of that stupid white and crimson red jerseys. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to go flip it over its head, and I'm going to design a new jersey back in Seattle. I'm going to put a team back in Seattle. You said Las Vegas. Listen, Seattle and Las Vegas, they're getting their teams. Seattle's getting theirs back. I was up at Climate Pledge Arena for the preseason game against the Clippers. That place was nuts. Mm-hmm. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to change a damn thing.
Supersonics all the way?
It's going to be the Supersonics, and it's going to be the Throwbacks, and not the Gary Paytons, not the Sean Kemps, not the Space Needles. We're talking the Arches.
Okay.
It's going to say Sonics across the chest, and and the great thing about this is Seattle owns all that. They own all the rights. When they left and became the Thunder, the city of Seattle owns all of that. So when they come back, bring back the greatness of the Seattle Supersonics and their throwbacks, and don't taint what they have going for them. Bring back the goodness. We need a little nostalgia.
I would agree. I think the Supersonics would be a great get for the NBA. There's so much history there, and I just don't feel like it's celebrated with the Thunder as well at all. Let's be honest. But so we've kind of brought this up in our discussion here. If you're talking outside of the NBA, is there a pro sport team that you would like to see somewhere, any city you want? And if so, what would that team be?
Selfishly, I want a baseball team in Portland because I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan. I want Portland to have an NL baseball team so that I can go watch Cardinals games. But it would be dope to have a baseball team on the river. Like it's, the MLB to PDX has kind of shown like their mock-ups and their drawings. It would be beyond amazing. If I was gonna go anywhere else, any other city, I feel like we need more, just like professional sports in general in the South. Like if you look at the South, it's all college sports.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if they would ever buy into it. The NFL.
No, high school and colleges, and especially if you win
life.
NFL, it's not going to happen. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
So like, but could you get baseball going down there?
No.
Like, could you get? That's the thing is like. You go to not Turner Stadium, whatever the Atlanta Braves' new stadium is. Dusty was just down there, and he has told me a million times just how incredible this place is. He's like, but they pack it out now because Turner Stadium was a shithole. But if I could, I think I'd want to go catch like a early summer game like in Alabama. It kind of has that feeling to it.
Right.
But you'd have to do it like the Dixie Outlaws. Like I want it to be a scummy team. Like I want that team to be a team that's gonna like try to bean you in the second inning. Like I want them to like. We don't have enough villains in sports. Everybody's like trying to be this tight, pristine image. We need a team full of assholes.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, give me like the you can't say Dixie because of the connotations of Dixie, but like
Right.
But call them like Alabama Outlaws, and just have a bunch of just Roger Clemens like assholes, just all over the Nolan Ryans and Ozzie Guillens. Like just give me just a team full of assholes. Like down in the South, just give everybody a team to hate.
Their jersey's just all black, and they just fucking want to kick the shit out of
Yes,
everybody. Not even
exactly.
play the game.
You don't have to go crazy with it. It just kind of sells itself.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I mean, so I'll say it this way: if I could help do city jerseys, I wish they would embrace the college teams around them. So like Portland did 2 colorways where it's Oregon State and the Ducks, and you can trade it back and forth. So every pro team in the state could embrace, the state college and the regular college, the 2 big ones. Let's just say it that way. So that I think could be fun and cool, and you could do a lot with it. If a team was to be made, I am going to be selfish as well. I'm going to go with Portland. I'm going to pick a hockey team because there's a few reasons. One, I'm a huge hockey fan, so I'm going to be there. But the other thing is, Portland's built for arbitrary sports. They're not big enough to host a big, like, that's why baseball would work, or soccer works, or basketball works. Football's king, but it would not work. It's just not built infrastructurally. Seattle's always the big brother to us, so they're always going to get a team before us. But if you could put a team here, and just for instance, like if you did something, the best thing about hockey too is they have arbitrary fucking names. So you could have the Portland Crabs and just have this angry little claw fucker that's just, as a mascot, everything in the net. I could get behind that all day.
Throwing turkey legs on the ice.
Exactly.
goals.
And Portland would get behind that because Portland would go going, hey, this is not a sport that everybody loves and knows about. And they wouldn't be the fucking Golden Knights. They wouldn't put slut dust on a jersey. FTGK all day. I fucking hate that team. We all know that. But it's the point. I want to see a hockey team in Portland. Baseball's number 2. Baseball's my love of life. But out of all of them, the easiest one to bring is there. If you were going to go anywhere else in the country, I want to bring back a team outside of our country, like the Montreal Expos or the fucking. Let's do a Mexico City fucking football team, the little chupacabras down there that could, and just let them come here and get their asses kicked, and because they don't even know what kind of football they're playing, but they're losing every week. But you're behind them because you know what? Hell yes. That's what we need in this country is an outside of the country team. Stop putting NFL games in Europe. Just give them a fucking team. Give them a team. Let them travel there every now and then and have a fucking blast. That's my opinion.
I like it.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take. Well, with that, Danny, we're going to go ahead and finish up here because I'm tired of hearing Jake talk. I'm just going to be flat honest with you there.
It happens, man.
So you have a radio program. You also have a podcast.
I do.
For our followers and our listeners that don't know about you, where can they find you? Where can they tune in? Give us all that info.
You can find me across social media at Danny Marang. You can find the podcast at Jacked Ramsays. It's also available on social media and YouTube and wherever you get podcasts. And then if you're in Portland or if you want to listen about Portland sports, you can go to 1080 The Fan on the AM dial if you're in a range of almost Eugene to about 20 minutes south of Seattle. I was able to still catch a little bit of the show when I was driving up to Seattle. But also you can catch us on the Odyssey podcast on 1080thefan.com. You can get every hour of every show, not just mine, but all of the shows. So if you want more orangutan, you can get it.
Fantastic. And with that, Jake, what do you got for us?
Thanks for all the dirty talk and come back and get sanitized. This is Jake from the Bleach Bros Podcast, and thank you for listening to today's episode. I want to bring to your attention our Linktree. Visit Linktree/Bleach Bros Podcast for access to all of our socials, merch, and streaming sites. Linktree is linktr.ee/Bleach Bros Podcast, all one word. And if you enjoy our content, make sure to give us a like, give us a review on whatever platform you are listening on, and also invite your friends. If you're a fan of our show, be sure to check out this one to stay sanitized.
Haha, what's poppin', y'all? It's your boy Date Money, and every Monday join us on every streaming service on the Bromigos podcast.
Come talk shit with your boy Panama Red.
And you better not forget me, head advocate of the Big Titty Committee and undercover brother, Motorboatin' Matt.
And me, Hoochie Daddy Sleppy. I guess my new name is Hoochie Man Hunter now.
Yeah! I was hoping you were going to say that.
We talk all things sports, sex, and more. Coming to you raw and uncensored. Ain't nothing off limits.